All right, everyone, welcome to day 2. And day 2 is loaded. So we are going to treat this day as a bridge. I'm going to carry you from where we left off today with God's promises and walk you through a few nuggets of where we're going to pick up tomorrow. But I just want to share with you, I cannot do today justice. I'm just going to give you a few key things that always speak to me. And so, one of those is that God is a God of promises. And I want us to remember who he's making these promises to. It's to real people. I love it when it says that Sarah laughed. She literally giggled when God told her that she would become a mom at her age, and Abraham did too. And that we are allowed, and he wants us to bring real emotions to him. Our laughter, our anger, our tears, our sadness, we can show up authentically to God. And I think that is just such an important component that we need to hold true to our hearts. And not only can we show up authentically to God, I think that we need to remember the importance of showing up authentically in our real life, right? We've already talked about in some of these videos that importance of that commitment to truth and reality. And I remember reading that first time through scripture, and I'm just watching Abraham tell lies for ridiculous reasons. I remember the first time he said that Sarah was his sister. I was like, why? And then he did it again. And then they have a kid, spoiler alert, and they have a kid named Isaac, and Isaac marries Rebecca, and he goes and does the same thing. He's going into new towns and new kingdoms, and he's saying, this is my sister, Rebecca. And one of the times the king said, I could have killed you. Like, why would you lie about that? And so that always makes me remember the role that I play in my family, where generational curses are concerned. And so we have an opportunity to carry forth a new legacy, a beautiful legacy, a beginning legacy, or carry on the good ones that were passed down. And we also have an opportunity to break legacies as well, and to break those generational curses that no longer serve us and serve our family. And I think that though the Bible doesn't say this specifically, I can only imagine all the things that my kids have learned from me, for good or for bad. And it maybe doesn't surprise me that some of the bad things, or the not great things, was passed down from Sarah and Abraham to Isaac. And so I think that's an important component. And we'll talk about that a little bit further as we continue to go down. Now, there is a really great Bible story in Genesis around Isaac and Rebecca having Jacob and Esau, who were twins. And I could spend a lot of time here, but I'm not going to. You know that I'm a part of Women Worship and Work, and I love the ladies. And so I actually want to take a little bit of a deeper dive into Rachel and Leah, who ultimately are wives that one of their children, Jacob, ends up marrying. So Jacob goes to the land of his uncle's town, right? His uncle's land, because basically Jacob had tricked Esau and things weren't right at home. It wasn't all great. And so for safety reasons, he leaves and he goes to his uncle's land, and he meets this beautiful woman named Rachel, and he cannot wait to marry her. But then trickery begets trickery, right? So his uncle Laban tricks him and says, nope, you're going to marry Leah. You're going to marry Leah first. And Leah was known for having weak eyes. That's what it says in the Bible. So I just want us to go back into those seasons of our lives where we have felt less than. Maybe you're in one of those right now. And as I continue on with this story, I want you to see and know how God still takes care of Leah, and he will still take care of you when you feel less than. And so Jacob is put in this situation where he marries Leah, and he ultimately marries Rachel as well. And what God does is he blesses Leah with a gift to be able to be a mom, and she is able to conceive multiple children. And so, Rachel doesn't like that so much. And especially at that time in society, I mean, that's what your worth was found a lot as in being a mom and being able to birth children. And so we see that Rachel becomes a little bit impatient. And I want us to think about those times that we've become impatient and we take matters into our own hands, and we try to solve problems that God ultimately would be able to solve for us, but instead we think that maybe we can do that better than he can. And so what Rachel does is she doesn't wait for her time to become a mom. She goes ahead and she sets Isaac up with one of her slaves. And so that she doesn't wait, and she goes ahead and puts them in a situation where she has another child, but through another woman, right? And then we see Leah copycat, and we see Leah do the same thing. And one of the aspects that I missed in this bridge is that Sarah did the same thing too, right? Sarah did not wait for God's promise. She went to her slave Hagar, and she had Hagar have a baby as well with Abraham. And some of that generational issue is still taking place in the Middle East today. And so, it's such an important principle that we wait on God and that we trust in his promises that he has made for us. But that said, God takes these mistakes, these repeated mistakes that are taking place in this generation and the next generation, and he uses it for good. He uses it for good, like Romans 8:28 says that he will. And what he does is, and a lot of what we're going to learn, we're going to hear about tomorrow. So Rachel has a son eventually named Joseph. And Joseph ultimately saves the Israelites from famine. And so we're going to hear about that tomorrow. But I want to take a moment and just sit with Leah, the woman with weak eyes, and let's just think about how he blessed her. So Leah's fourth child was Judah. Have you ever heard of the Lion of Judah? And Judah ultimately becomes in the genealogy of Jesus. And so in the story that we're going to learn tomorrow, and the story that we're going to end when we get to our 10th day with Jesus, God took both of these women, and in one, she gave a son, Joseph, that we're going to learn about tomorrow, and how he saved his family and the adversity that he went through. And then out of the other woman, he ultimately brings us Jesus. And so that's what he is. He is a God of promises. He will hold true to getting you to your purpose in life. He just asks that we lean into him. So I cannot wait to see you tomorrow when we learn about the story of Joseph.